everyone, today we will see the topic of pulmonary function test. So we will see what is the definition and what are the types of pulmonary function test. Then we will see the lung capacities and how it is measured. So first in pulmonary function test we will see what is the definition. So the definition is pulmonary function test is useful in assessing the functional status of a respiratory system in both pathological and physiological conditions. Okay, so pulmonary function tests are useful in assessing the functional status of the respiratory system both in pathological and physiological conditions. Now, what are the types of pulmonary function tests? So there are mainly two types: static and dynamic. Okay, so there are two types of pulmonary function tests. They are static and dynamic. What is static? Okay, so the basic difference is that static measures the amount and dynamic measures the rate. So what is static? Static is that the amount of air flowing in and out of the lungs is known as static, and dynamic is the rate of airflow in and out of the respiratory system is known as dynamic. So there are mainly two types of pulmonary function tests. They are static and dynamic. Static will measure the amount of air that is exchanged between the respiratory tract and the environment, and dynamic will be the rate of flow of air between the respiratory system and the environment. Now we will see what are the static and dynamic. So first we will see what are the static tests. So in static, lung volumes will come in static. Okay, static is your lung volumes. Now what are the lung volumes? They are tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and suicidal volume. Okay, what are they? Tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, and expiratory reserve volume, and suicidal volume. Okay. So in lung volume, we will see what is the tidal volume. So tidal volume is the normal, the amount of air that is breathed by an individual in normal respiration. Okay. So it comes to 1000. It comes to 500 ml. Okay. So tidal volume is the amount of air that is breathed by an individual in a normal respiration. It is 500 ml. What is IRV? Inspiratory reserve volume. IRV is the additional amount of air that is breathed in by an individual after a normal inspiration. So that is 3300 ml. Okay. What is inspiratory reserve volume? It is the additional amount of air that is breathed in by an individual after a normal inspiration. That is 3300 ml. What is ERV? So this is the additional volume of air that is breathed out by an individual after a normal expiration. That is 1000 ml. What is ERV? It is the amount of air that is breathed out by an individual even after a normal expiration. That is 1000 ml. And what is residual volume? So residual volume is the amount of air that is remaining in the lungs even after a normal expiration. That is 1200. Okay, so what is residual volume? It is the amount of air that is remaining in the lungs even after a forceful expiration. So that is 1200 ml. So lung volumes, what we understand by lung volumes are, these are the static pulmonary function tests. That is, they measure the amount of air that is breathed by a normal individual. And there are four types: tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. Tidal volume has a volume of air that is breathed by an individual in normal respiration, that is 500 ml. Inspiratory reserve volume is the additional amount of air that is breathed by an individual after a normal inspiration, that is 3300 ml. And ERV, expiratory reserve volume, is an additional amount of air that can be exhaled out after a forceful expiration, that is 1000 ml. And RV, residual volume, is the amount of air that is remaining in the lungs even after a forceful exhalation, that is 1200 ml. So these we saw are the lung volumes. Now we will see what are the lung capacities. So before going to lung capacity, I'll just write the definition once again. Okay, so I'll write the definition once again of tidal volume. So what is tidal volume? It is the amount of air breathed by a normal individual. Okay, that is your tidal volume. What is IRV? Amount of air inspired additionally after normal inspiration. Okay, that is IRV. Now ERV, amount of air breathed forcefully, breathe or exhale, breathe out or exhale forcefully after normal expiration. Okay, RV is the amount of air remaining in lungs after forceful exhalation. Okay, so tidal volume, amount of air breathed in by an individual in normal respiration. IRV is amount of air inspired additionally after a normal expiration. ERV is amount of air exhaled forcefully after a normal expiration. And tidal volume is amount of air remaining in the lungs even after a forceful expiration. Now we will come to the lung capacities. What are lung capacity? They are also static. Why? Because they measure the amount of air, not the rate of air. Okay, it measures the amount of air. So lung capacity are nothing but the addition of more than 2 or more than 2 lung volumes. Okay, so lung capacity is made from 2 or more than 2 lung volumes. There are also 4 types. What are they? First, there is inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory capacity, functional residual capacity, vital capacity, functional residual capacity, and total lung capacity. Okay, so these are the four capacities which we will see in the lung capacity. So now we will see what are the IC, VC, FRC, and TLC. What is IC? IC is nothing but IRV plus EV. VC is ERV plus RV. FRC is IRV plus ERV plus TV. And TLC is all the four organs together. Okay. So IC inspiration capacity is inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume. What is the final amount? IRD is 3300 plus TV is 1000, so it's 500. Then we get 3800 and then as IC. Now what is ERD plus RD? ERD is 1000, RD is 1200, you get 2200 as VC. Now what is FRC? IRV is 3300, ERV is 1000, and TV is 500. So total we will get 4800. Okay, 4800. Yeah, 4800. Now TLC, all the four, 3300 plus 1000 plus 500 plus 1200, it is equal to 600 ml or 6 liter. So that is the total lung capacity, 6 liter. So inspiratory capacity is 3800 ml, vital capacity is 2200 ml, FRC functional residual capacity is 4800 ml, and TLC or total lung capacity is 6000 ml or 60 ml. Now I come to the definition of each of these. It is the maximum volume of air that is inhaled after normal expiration. Okay, so IC will be the maximum volume of air that is inhaled after a normal expiration. So what is VC? It is the amount of air that is expelled out forcefully after deep inspiration. Okay, so now FRC. FRC will be the amount of air remaining in the lungs after normal expiration. Okay, so FRC functional residual capacity will be the amount of air remaining in the lungs after normal expiration. TLC will be the maximum amount of air. I'll write here. Will be the maximum amount of air remaining in the lungs or present in lungs after deep inspiration. So we have always seen the amounts, still I'll just write once. IC will be the IRB plus PV. VC will be the ERB plus RB. FRC will be the ERB plus IRB plus RB, and TLC will be the IRB plus ERB plus RB plus PV. IC will be approximately how much? 3800. ER will be 22. This will be 48. FRC and TLC will be the 6,000. So now we will see what are the instrument which measures the pulmonary function test. They are spirometer, plethysmograph, and the respirometer. So what does spirometer do? The technique which is known as spirometry. Okay. The technique is known as spirometry, and the instrument is spirometer, and the output which get is in the form of graphs. So what are the things which it measures? So mainly there are 4 things which it measures. They are end, inspiratory volume, inspiratory level, end, expiratory level, maximum inspiratory level, and minimum expiratory level. Okay. So these are the 4 things which will measure the spirometry: end inspiratory level, end expiratory level, maximum inspiratory level, and minimum expiratory level. Now we will see what are the measurement of functional residual capacity and residual volume. So measurement of FRC and RB, how it is. So these are the 3 formulas which we will see to measure the FRC and RB. First, FRC is measured by V into C1 minus C2 by C2. So here V is the volume of air, C1 is the initial concentration of helium in the air. I'll write here V is the volume of air. Okay, we are talking about this. C1 will be the initial concentration of helium in the collected air. Okay. C2 will be the final concentration of helium in the collected air. Okay. So if we multiply the difference of C1 and C2 into V, that is volume of air, and divide by C2, that is the final concentration of the helium in the collected air, then we give the FRC, that is functional residual capacity. Now the next formula, nitrogen dilution method. Here C1 into V by C2 is our FRC. Now what is V? V is the volume of air. C1 is the concentration of nitrogen. Concentration of the nitrogen in the collected air, and C2, which is the final concentration. Okay, so this will be the nitrogen dilution. Now plethysmograph, how we measure it is through the Boyle's law. Okay, so Boyle's law, as we know, what is the formula of Boyle's law? P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. That is PV remains constant. Okay, so this is the formula of Boyle's law. That is anywhere in any container, any shape, size of the container, the PV remains constant. That is pressure, the multiplication pressure into volume, pressure and volume remains constant. So whether it is in my lungs or your lungs, the PV will always remain constant. So the initial pressure into initial volume is equal to the final pressure into the final volume. So like that, if we take V as the functional residual capacity, So the initial pressure in the lungs equal to the final pressure into the difference of functional recital capacity minus the change of the capacity. So P1 and P2 will be the pressure changes, and V will be the FRC or the functional recital capacity. So these are the methods how we will measure the FRC and RV. So this graphs, this will be the technique. The graphing will be the technique, the graph will be the instrument here. So now we will see the vital capacity. The vital capacity, what is it, what is the definition, what are the physiological, pathological changes in the vital capacity, and next we will move on. So now we will see what is vital capacity. So as we know, the formula of vital capacity is IRV plus ERV plus EV. Okay. So this will be the formula of vital capacity. As you know, the value will be approximately 4800. 4800. Okay. 3300 plus 1000 plus 1200 will be 4800, and now it will be the definition of this. This will be the maximum amount of air expelled out forcefully. You can repeat with me after a deep inspiration. Okay. So what is vital capacity? Is the maximum volume of air that we may expel forcefully after a deep inspiration. Now we will see what are the physiological and pathological variations in vital capacity. So first one, physiological variation. Next, pathological. First, physiological. So first, we will see that in gender, the males will have a higher vital capacity than the female. Next, the pelt of an individual. So heavy will have more than the weakly built. Then occupation. So those who have a sedentary lifestyle will have a less vital capacity. Next, in athletes, they will have a high vital capacity. And lastly, posture. So in standing, the vital capacity will be more than lying. Okay. So these are the physiological variation. In male it will be more, in heavy built it will be more, and sedentary lifestyle it will be less, more than an active lifestyle and an active occupation. Then in athlete it will be more, as the lungs will get adapted to their running and work. And in posture, standing will be more, and it can be attributed to the fact that in standing posture the lungs will have a greater area to expand. Okay. Now, what are the pathological features? So there is asthma, paralysis of respiratory muscles, pneumothorax, hydrothorax, pyothorax, and then pulmonary congestion, pulmonary TB. Okay, then pulmonary effusion, okay, these are the condition in which it will be less. Also in pulmonary edema, in pneumothorax, and that's all, and emphysema. So these will be the condition in which it will be less. Asthma, paralysis of respiratory muscles, pneumothorax, hydrothorax, pneumothorax, pyothorax, pulmonary congestion, pulmonary TB, pulmonary effusion, pulmonary edema, and emphysema. So in these conditions, the vital capacity will be less. Now we'll see how it is measured. So it's very common. So it is measured by seeing a spirometry or a respiratometer. Okay, it is measured by the spirometry. Okay. So next we will see the PEFER. What is PEFER? And what are the pathological condition in which it varies. So that will be a last topic. So the last topic we will see here is PEFR, that is peak expiratory flow rate. Okay, peak expiratory flow rate. Okay, peak expiratory flow rate. What is PEFR? Rate, as you can see, it is dynamic. Okay, rate will be dynamic. As we know, static is a measure of amount, rate is a measure of static is a measure of amount, dynamic will be the measure of rate. So PFR will be a dynamic pulmonary function test, that is peak expiratory flow rate. So what is that? Definition we will see. It is the maximum amount of air that can be expelled out after a normal inspiration. Okay, so what is PEFR? It is a maximum amount of air that can be expelled out after a normal inspiration. So what will be the value? Normal value of PEFR is 400 liters per minute. Okay, normal value of PEFR is 400 liters per minute, and the PEFR is measured by an instrument which is known as peak expiratory flow meter. Okay, PEFM. So this is the instrument through which the PEFR is measured. Now we will see what is the significance of measuring PEFR. Right, that's why we measure PEFR. What can we measure through this, and after measuring it, what are the different things that we see in that? So let's see the significance of PEFR. So PEFR is a dynamic test, dynamic lung function test. So now we were saying only static lung function test, like the lung volumes and the lung capacities. Now first of all, we are seeing the PEFR. We also saw functional residual capacity, vital capacity, which were also static tests. But now we will see the PEFR. So what is the significance of this? So it is firstly it is used to assess the different respiratory conditions or respiratory diseases. So what it does, it assesses respiratory diseases. Okay. Now what are the diseases that it measure? Like asthma and emphysema. Okay, so in these conditions the PFR is a little less, so it is helpful to assess the condition, assess if a person is having asthma or emphysema. Next is to measure the different type of diseases. There are mainly two types. We classify the respiratory diseases into two types, that is restrictive and obstructive. Okay, so PFR is usually used to differentiate between the restrictive and obstructive kind of diseases. Now, what happens is that in obstructive disease, the PFR is very less. Okay, it is very less compared to that restrictive disease. How much less? So it is generally 200 liter per minute in obstructive, while in restrictive it is 100. Sorry, in restrictive it is 200 liter per minute, while it can be as less as 100 liter per minute in obstructive diseases. So what is the significance of PFR? First, it is used to assess the different types of respiratory diseases like asthma and emphysema. Also used to differentiate between restrictive and obstructive diseases. We'll see later. We'll see sometime after what are the restrictive and obstructive diseases, what are the causes of it, and also that the PFR is very less in obstructive and not much less in restrictive. So in obstructive it is 100 liter per minute, while in restrictive it is 200 liter per minute. Now we will see in detail what are the restrictive and obstructive diseases. So now we will see what is the difference between restrictive and obstructive disease. Okay, so in restrictive disease, what happens is that there is a difficulty in inspiration. Okay, there is a difficulty in inhalation or inspiration, but here there is a difficulty in exhalation. Okay, difficulty in exhalation, but here there is no such difficulty is seen in exhalation. Only in inhalation there is difficulty. So the main difference is that in restrictive disease there is a difficulty in inhalation or breathing in, while in obstructive there is difficulty in exhalation or breathing out, while there is no such difficulty seen in exhalation in restrictive disease. Now, what are the causes? Okay, so the causes of the restrictive diseases can be because of any nervous system, causes of nervous system, because of respiratory muscles, okay, so there are various causes. While in obstructive disease, the causes are mainly due to because of lower respiratory tract and because of upper respiratory tract. Okay, so we divide the causes of obstructive as lower respiratory tract causes and the upper respiratory tract causes. So what are the nervous system causes? They are polio. Okay, the paralysis of respiratory muscles. Okay, paralysis. This can come under. Okay, we'll classify as nervous system and mechanical causes. Okay, So in our system, there will be polio, paralysis of respiratory muscles, any spinal cord disorders. Okay, spinal cord disorders. So these will be the respiratory causes. The mechanical causes, there can be trauma, injury. They can be broken ribs also, which can cause the restrictive disease. And obstructive disease, the upper respiratory tract causes like upper respiratory infections like cough, cold, and laryngo, tracheobronchitis. Okay, cough, cold, laryngo, tracheobronchitis, rhinitis. These are all the upper respiratory causes. Lower respiratory causes like pulmonary effusion. Okay, pulmonary edema, and these are the lower respiratory causes which are responsible for the obstructive diseases. So PFR is used to differentiate between restrictive and obstructive diseases. As we saw, the PFR value will be more or less in obstructive disease and in restrictive disease. Then the difference between obstructive and restrictive is that in a restrictive there is difficulty in inhalation, while exhalation is normal, but in obstructive there is difficulty in exhalation. Now, one of the causes of restrictive is that it can be caused due to nervous system disorders and mechanical nervous system like polio, spinal cord disorders, and paralysis of respiratory muscles, and mechanical like trauma, injury, and broken ribs. In obstructive causes causes can be divided into lower and upper. So upper respiratory tract causes like cold, cough, laryngeal, tracheobronchitis, and lower respiratory like pulmonary effusion and edema. So this was the end of chapter pulmonary function test. Now, before ending it, I'll have a last question for it. So I've asked you earlier, what is FEV1? Okay. So now you have to tell me that what is the value of FEV1 in obstructive and restrictive disease. Okay. You got my question? What is the value? First you have to tell me what is FEV1. Okay. Then you have to tell me what is the value of FEV1 in obstructive and restrictive diseases. So let's see, you can find out. So if you found out, you can comment down in the comment section below. And so I'll end my class here. So we'll meet in the next class. Till then, thank you.